Hi there, and welcome to Making Virtual a Reality. My name is Jeff Schwartz, and I'm the Manager of Instructional Technology at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, California. In today's presentation, my goal is to share with you a little bit about our strategy for deploying virtual reality across our campus, and give you some tips and tricks that might help you do the same at your own institution. Before we jump into our conversation about immersive technology, allow me to set the scene and share a bit of background about Loyola Marymount University. We were founded in 1911, guided by our mission to facilitate the encouragement of learning, the education of the whole person, the service of faith, and the promotion of justice. We are comprised of 6 colleges and schools: our Bellarmine College of Liberal Arts, our College of Business Administration, College of Communication and Fine Arts, the Frank R. Seaver College of Science and Engineering, Loyola Law School, School of Education, and the School of Film and Television. All of this is to say that we support a wide variety of disciplines and academic needs, which is one of the reasons we were very excited to roll out virtual reality this past academic year. Our virtual reality story actually begins a few years ago, where the instructional technology team was able to acquire an early developer's kit from Oculus. This Oculus Rift rig was pretty expensive and rather clunky. Early VR experiences required a high-powered laptop with a video game card, as well as a pretty expensive headset that was wired or tethered to the laptop with a number of cables. Both due to cost and due to the nature of the hardware, we realized quickly that this was going to be difficult to deploy across campus. Not only was it going to be extremely expensive, but the amount of machinery and space that would have been required to deploy virtual reality to a class was really prohibitive back in 2016-2017. Over the last few years, however, there have been some major changes in virtual reality, and I'll discuss those in a moment. In addition to the hardware challenges, there wasn't a great deal of educational content available off the shelf. There were some folks and other institutions that were creating content, but there wasn't a lot that was really plug and play, where you could get into a storefront online and start to pick and choose which academic experiences you wanted to try out or introduce. We found that at our campus, we had a few faculty in our animation department and in our computer science department that were exploring creating original content. But again, due to scalability and deployment challenges, that wasn't something that we felt a few years ago we were really ready for at LMU. Thankfully, both of those challenges diminished significantly with some hardware improvements. Last year, Oculus dropped a brand new headset called the Oculus Quest. And what was exciting about this particular headset was that it still maintained 6 degrees of freedom, or the ability to move around in a fully immersive virtual environment, but it was completely and totally untethered. The CPU was powered by the headset itself, connected wirelessly with 2 hand controllers that could be used and mobilized really any place in a space wire-free. The batteries just needed to be charged. Better yet, the price point dropped significantly. The Oculus Quest was available for just around $400. This meant that we were able to buy a number of headsets, not have the same space issues on where we would place them, and for that matter, we could very easily deliver this technology to a lab or to a classroom for faculty and students to explore. This ability to scale our VR strategy was really what changed the equation for us and got us excited about the potential of virtual reality and how and why and when we could move across campus to do a little bit of a show and tell. So what did that show and tell look like? What was our VR pilot plan? Well, to introduce virtual reality across campus, we decided we would take on 3 initial tasks. The first was to establish a video promotional piece. We spent some time working on a video promo, reaching out with some faculty that were already familiar with virtual reality and had some experience deploying VR in their own coursework. LMU is really just starting to fully explore the potential of virtual reality. For the time being, we're really trying to support both VR creators and consumers on campus, but they require very different sets of support needs. So our VR creators are people largely in film and television or fine arts that are really trying to push the envelope.
One of the things that makes virtual reality so exciting and a potential resource for faculty to be able to integrate into their classes is just how easy virtual reality is as an experience.
On the consumer side, there's a number of VR simulations and experiences that are really available off the shelf. Well, we're really fortunate on this campus that we have a few faculty members that are really the tip of the spear in terms of developing new VR content and exploring these new technologies. So in the future, we're hoping to partner some of our content consumers with our content creators.
When you put on the virtual reality headset, you're immersed and you can't daydream, you can't look at your phone, you can't do stuff like that. And so you're really focused.
In the engineering department, they've been using VR to sort of simulate building inspections.
Everyone can wear their headsets and get a feel for what the building would look like. So you can navigate through the building to get a sense of how big is the space, what components or what disciplines are working on the project together.
VR can be helpful in biology settings, being able to see inside biological structures inside, say, the human body.
They can build an atom and they can see how the orbital configurations change, and it's spoken and written on the whiteboard, and then in the middle there's a model, and then there's a dashboard below you can change things. Their ability to see it in a detail that can't be recreated, and the interactions with it in the instant feedback.
Using VR in classes has been really positive. Students really enjoyed seeing how VR is implemented into our industry.
VR offers the opportunity for the experiencer, I guess, students to go to other locations that would be either remote or expensive, or locations that maybe don't even exist anymore.
Part of our exploration and pilot is really trying to figure out where VR is going and how this is going to be scalable and something that we can implement across campus.
It's a new way of engaging students, and it definitely has a cool factor where the students get really excited about the new technology.
Look in your field, and I'm sure they're using VR, and go to the conferences, pursue those, and I think it's an exciting field that is in every area of science.
VR has the opportunity to really transform education and the way that we do business in our classrooms. Second, as part of a more broad introduction, we decided to host what we called the Imagine If Symposium. This was an open house symposium for faculty on our campus where we set up a number of stations by discipline and invited faculty to stop by, put on a headset, and kick the tires. Lastly, and perhaps even more important, was the ability to deliver on this new promise of VR. In order to do so, we needed to find a space. And space is very limited on campus. Thankfully, we were able to find an old classroom that wasn't being used, did a little bit of work in that space for a very low budget, and threw together our first VR lab at Loyola Marymount University. With that, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Jeff Henline, who's a key member of the instructional technology team and was integral in our deployment of VR across campus. Jeff will share a little bit more detail on how we introduced this technology to faculty, what that looked like, and the boots on the ground experience. My hope is that this will really inform your efforts and give you some additional guidance as you strategize your own approach to introducing VR at your institution.
Thank you, Jeff. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our VR lab. Several of us on the team had experience with VR and understood the space requirements needed for each user. This was a challenge when searching for a physical location on campus. If your campus is like ours, space is limited and difficult to come by. Knowing that each user needs an approximate 6 by 6 foot space, we began hunting for locations. Thankfully, we were able to set up a temporary lab in a building that was vacated and scheduled for renovation the following year. In this abandoned classroom, we were able to mark out 5 different boundaries for users of the Quest. Additionally, we had a large screen TV on the wall with a powerful laptop and an Oculus Rift set up. This particular station was key to the success of the project, as it's important for those who are spectating in the lab to get a sense of what the person wearing the headset is experiencing. And it also allows the person in VR to share the excitement. In addition to the lab, we knew from experience that having the ability to deliver equipment and experiences to interested faculty would be key to our success. As class time is valuable and our campus is large, it wouldn't always be feasible for faculty to bring their students across campus to the lab. We purchased 2 large Pelican cases on wheels. Each case holds 6 headsets and the controllers for each. Depending on the class size and the needs of the faculty, we were able to deploy 12 Oculus Quest remotely using these two cases. We quickly adopted a model where one case of headsets was located in my office in our largest academic building, opposite campus from the dedicated lab for easier deployment. As there's a continual stream of new software, experiences, and system updates, we needed to meet as a team weekly to maintain the headsets. Additionally, during these weekly meetings, we would evaluate, test, and install new experiences. This work was often tedious, as at the time, we didn't have a solution for managing multiple headsets and automating installs and upgrades along with purchases. Rather, we created a dozen different accounts manually with Oculus and made purchases to those accounts and headsets for the various experiences. Beyond the initial hardware setup, much of our time was spent researching and assessing VR experiences. We began organizing our experiences, their durations, comfort level, and price. We also needed a way to filter our list of experiences by disciplines or departments or who they most would appeal to. We developed a spreadsheet that really helped us organize and collaborate our efforts. When we met with faculty in the lab or their office, we were able to show them a list of experiences based on their discipline. We would discuss curricular alignment, and they would demo the experience. Then we could schedule a time for their students to either stop by the lab or we would deliver the experiences to their classroom. As far as outreach and adoption, we quickly learned that some disciplines had many VR experiences available where others did not. I had one faculty who taught a course on the settlement of the American West and the impact on the native population. They were interested in an experience that would be impactful to their students in helping tell the story. And while there aren't standalone experiences that fit that bill exactly, we did discover that there's more and more 360-degree video content being created and published on YouTube, in many cases by individuals. And we intend to explore some of that content going forward. Inviting academic leaders on campus to visit our lab was key to our outreach. In addition to the Imagine If symposium, we hosted leadership in the lab so they could experience the technology. The Star Wars Vader Immortal game was a favorite, as more than any other experience, it shows what's possible in VR. Folks also enjoyed the Anne Frank house, traveling while black, and more passive experiences as well. There really is something for everyone in VR. In the spirit of outreach and making the technology available to our students outside the academic course, we held events that allowed students to tour various cities around the world in collaboration with the Study Abroad program. We also worked with a particular student organization so their members could use an experience highlighting mental health awareness. Here we have some of the departments and offices we worked with on campus. While we don't have time to explore examples from each, I want to share with you a few examples of experiences that were the most popular and impactful to students.
On the 12th of June, 1929, Anne Frank is born in Frankfurt, Germany. She is the second child of Jewish parents, Otto and Edith Frank. Her older sister is called Margot. During this period, Anne, then a young teenager, keeps a diary, writing about her feelings and experiences in the annex, about the events taking place in their secret hiding place, its entrance hidden behind a revolving bookcase.
Countless friends and acquaintances are on their way to a horrible destination. Night after night, the green or gray military vehicles drive by, ring every bell to ask if Jews live there. If so, the whole family has to go along right away. If not, they move on. No one can escape their fate unless they go into hiding.
Oh, wow.
Of course, we are never allowed to look out the window or go outside. During the day, we always have to walk quietly and speak softly. The people in the warehouse mustn't hear us. Thanks to Father, who had brought my whole collection of picture postcards and movie stars here beforehand, I have been able to treat the walls with a pot of glue and a brush, and so turn the entire room into one big picture. My hopes are fixed on the time that will come after the war. I would love to go to Paris for a year and London for a year. In the meantime, I must keep my ideals high and dry. In the days that are coming, I may actually be able to carry them out.
My mother was born in South Carolina. We had a lot of relatives and a family farm still in Charleston, and so we would travel down often. We packed everything into the car, and we did it in one shot. We never stopped. I never understood why. They did this because they had to. It's just the reality of being Black in America. Up until the passage of the Civil Rights Act, you couldn't eat in restaurants, you couldn't stay in hotels if you were Black. The Green Book was a much-needed guidebook for African Americans. By knowing who was friendly and where you could stay, you could actually travel through an America that was pretty hostile to you. The Green Book served as a way of bringing Black people together as a community. And what Ben's Chili Bowl represented to me was that community and safe space. With my VR film, Traveling While Black, I wanted to connect the past that had been forgotten to the present. In VR, the level of connection that you have to a story can be profound. It's real and it's tangible. You are forced to a place of deep empathy, or you're forced to confront the pain of what you've been living. There's something about not being able to escape it.
I wasn't finished raising him, you know? I wasn't finished nourishing him.
You are forced to think about other people in a way that 2D film can't accomplish. The viewers walk away wanting to do something. They want action.
Thank you for that, Jeff. While VR is something that really must be experienced to be truly understood and appreciated, our hope is that these clips, this little montage, gave you a sense of the possibilities and some of the off-the-shelf experiences that await your exploration. So, the million-dollar question: did all of this work? Well, I'd like you to just ask our students.
Last semester, in Professor Center's VR lab, it was my first experience with virtual reality.
Having VR here at LMU was a very unique experience.
The technology was kind of mind-blowing because you really felt like you were in a different reality.
In class or just reading your textbook is very hard, so being able to see the different axes, being able to understand how orbitals work and how orbitals hybridize in 3 dimensions was very helpful.
My experience with the VR sessions went really, really well. I was able to solidify the material in my mind that we had learned in class already, and it was really helpful when going into lab as well because it gave me more practice, hands-on, and getting to see the actual molecules and atoms and electrons and everything.
My favorite module was hybridization because I didn't understand hybridization on a textbook, but being able to see the electrons moving really helped me understand the concept better.
At my time here at LMU, this was the first time taking a class as unique as this, and it was really the highlight of my college experience.
So let's talk about next steps and what it looks like for us at LMU. First off, we have full intentions of continuing our research, curation, and trying to identify the best educational experiences. As I mentioned earlier, new content is being created as we speak, and new experiences are being deployed weekly in the Oculus store, on YouTube, and via other platforms. So there's a great deal of research and curation that's required in order for us to introduce these experiences to faculty and try to find that right match. Leveling up, now that we've introduced VR on campus, we're excited at the possibilities that exist when we introduce some of our content consumers to our content creators. Another thing that we're very excited about is that Oculus just announced a new headset, the Oculus Quest 2, which features a couple of upgrades and enhancements from the prior headset. All that said, we live in a universe that we never could have anticipated when we began this exploration back in fall 2019. And we are wrestling with COVID-19 and how that might impact our trajectory. Specifically, we have some concerns about the ability for students to share headsets and what cleaning or maintaining those headsets might look like moving forward. Or for that matter, if this is going to need to be a one-to-one student provision, where a student might consider buying a VR headset that they would use throughout the duration of their college experience, much like they would get a textbook or some other piece of hardware. We have yet to figure out answers to these questions, but they're things that we're pondering as we aim to pivot back to a return to campus when it's safe and reasonable to do so. Jeff and I would like to thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions about this presentation, or if there's anything that we can do to support your efforts in deploying virtual reality at your institution, please don't hesitate to reach out. Take care.